Hi everybody, Father Warner here. I'm in Mumbai. As some of you know, I've just come back from Hong Kong, just landed here, and I'm in Andheri at my godchildren's home. Come here, both of you. Show them there. That's one and that's the other. Now go away, because I've got to teach everyone, okay? So I had to get that done, okay? Both of them, Mariah and Sarah, they're two monkeys, but I love you all, okay? Now, we are in the last day of 2024. The texts of today are taken from the first letter of John, chapter 2, verse 18 to 21. We are almost at the end of the first letter of John. Remember, I told you that in the Christmas Octave, we focus on the first letter of John. It's a beautiful, it's just 2 chapters. Just find some time and read it. But the gospel is also taken from John, and it's the prologue, chapter 1, verses 1 to 18. And in that sense today, St. John rocks, as the young people would say. He rules and dominates the liturgy for today. At the same time, it's extremely hard to link both the themes of the first reading and the gospel. I have put it in the category of light and life, because that is what is the characteristic of the Gospel of John, the Gospel of light and life. And also in the first letter of John, you'll find the theme of love. So light and life. Now, what's happening in chapter 2? As I said, we're almost at the end of 1 John chapter 2. And surprise, surprise, there is a conflict in the community of St. John. Many of them, of the leaders in the church of St. John, have left the community. And as I will always tell you, read the text, because St. John addresses them as the Antichrist. Please notice I'm stressing on the plural. He's not talking about one Antichrist, he's talking about the Antichrist. And he's using this in a more liberal sense of the word, where anybody who is anti the gospel of Christ becomes anti-Christ. He's not talking about an antichrist. Look at it very carefully. So he addresses these people who are causing discord in the community, who've left the community, as antichrists. And so bitter was this conflict in St. John's community that he, if you read the text, he will speak of these as the last days. Now, many people put the last days and the word antichrist together, and then they come to their own conclusion. Please look at the text in its context. There is a bitter dispute in the community. Now, the first reflection that should hit you, or the first thought that should hit you, is this is the community of the most beloved disciple. This was John's community. He was the one who, even as I said, St. Jerome tells us that in his old age was carried around because he couldn't walk, and people, he would tell everyone, beloved, my children, love one another. Even in the community of a man who was love, you can see that there is discord. So, this unrealistic expectation, and I've been talking about it this week, unrealistic expectations from our families, from our friends, from our faith, from our community, from our churches, it's unrealistic. All communities, all families go through discord, through conflict, through division, and this should be accepted as natural. So even to one who was a leader of love, who spoke love, his community was divided. Now, conflict does not mean the end, because this is what I think most people come to the wrong conclusion. When you are in conflict, you can take a break. I think that's a fair assessment. Sometimes just moving away, sitting back, reviewing is a great thing. But conflict does not mean it's the end. And that is why St. John is writing this letter to his community, not to educate them about the faith, but to confirm them in the faith, saying, hey, there's a lot of good in the community. Can we focus on the good in the community? Sometimes when there's conflict, we are only focusing on what's not going well. The family. When there's conflict in the family, we always focus on what's not going well. But I think it's time to also sit back and review and see what actually works well. And this is a great way even to begin the new year. So reviewing a community is essential. St. John in this letter really is reviewing what's going on in the community, and yes, there is discord. He is reviewing it and inviting them to renewal. inviting us, because when we review, we renew. Yeah, we renew. So how do we address conflict? And St. John addresses that. He says, look at the light. Who is the light? Jesus is the light. And that brings us to the gospel. Now, we are at the end of the year, and the gospel takes us to the beginning. Remember, it's the prologue, John chapter 1, verses 1 to 18. You will find the prologue thrice in the liturgy of the church. You will find it on Christmas Day, Christmas morning itself. You will find it today at the end of the year. And 2 Sundays after Christmas, you're going to hear the prologue at Sunday Mass. So we're taken to the beginning. When there is conflict, let's go to the beginning. Okay, and let's see what God has to offer us. So he takes us to the beginning, and he speaks of the light. Yeah, the light that shone into a dark world. Jesus shining into the darkness of our lives which have conflict, into our families that have conflict, into our church, our community, wherever it is, Christ shines. Now, does everybody accept the light? The answer is no. Look at the prologue. We are told that even though he came to his own did not accept him. And I wouldn't be surprised if people reject Christ. Yeah, this has been the nature of mankind, to reject all that is good because they have their own opinion. No judgments, but people reject. But what does accepting Christ do? And the gospel addresses that. It dispels the darkness. And this is crucial. It dispels also untruths. So it dispels darkness, it dispels untruth. When you invite Christ into your life, even if it's a dark moment, yeah, you may be going through your own darkness right now, invite Christ into it, and you will see that gradually the light dispels darkness. Remember that when the lights often go off, it's very hard to look around, but when the lights come on, what's the reaction of everyone? You wait for light, but you must be ready. Are you willing to accept the light? So as we end this year, I have a few thoughts. You're going to see fireworks tonight, yeah, the 31st. What do fireworks really do? They bring beauty, yes, but they dazzle you for just a moment, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Rather tonight, as many of us traditionally do, go to Mass, and we allow the light of Christ to not dazzle us, but to illumine our lives. See, when you say illumination, you're saying, I'm inviting light into my life. I'm inviting Christ. So you've got to invite Christ. You've got to bring in the light. You may be going through your darkness. I give it to you, whatever your darkness is, but invite that light to come in. St. Thomas Aquinas, and I like this line, says, it is better to illuminate than to shine. Yeah, a lot of us get caught up by momentary happiness, light that shines for a few minutes, but really what Christ is saying, what the church is inviting you to, is a deeper illumination. Secondly, and I'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow when we celebrate the feast of the Solemnity of Mary, Mother of God. What comes very naturally to a lot of people is, let's make a New Year resolution. I don't know. I don't believe in resolutions anymore. I believe in renewal. So instead of having a New Year resolution, let's have a New Year renewal. Renewal means there is good in us. There's a lot of good in us. In spite of our failings, there's a lot of good in all of us. Let's build on it. That's renewal. Renewing it, making it new, making what is already existing in our lives, bringing that to the surface and renewing it. Quick reflections that you can spend some time. I put 4 of them, and you can listen to them at your leisure, in the sense that I'm going to say it, and then maybe you can write down your thoughts on it. First, how did God surprise you this year? Our God is a God of surprises. Rather than ask you what went wrong in your life, let's twist it now. How did God surprise you? Because if you look through the year, God has surprised you at various moments, and this is why we have that holy hour before we slip into the new year, as a form of I don't like sometimes when people guide us too much and not leave us silence during the holy hour. But think of this: how did God surprise you? And I can be sure that you'll have at least 10 surprises this year that came your way, which you have forgotten, right? We always forget the good things the tragedies of our life we bring to the forefront. Number 2, how did I respond to God's calling? And don't tell me God didn't call you. He calls all of us. Your reflection may be, I didn't respond. That could be a reflection. But God has called you. So when you think, oh, God doesn't love me, that's not true. He has called you various times this year. How have you responded to it? 3, recall the time that God showed up for you. Yeah? You called out to God this year many times, and He showed up for you. This is quite different from how He surprised you. Surprised you is when you didn't expect Him to show up. But this is when you asked Him in prayer. It's called the power of petition. You petition God and He showed up for you, and He did it. And in that sense, as we end the year, I'd love to remind you of that hymn, Count Your Blessings, Name Them One by One. And finally, and this is a thought that came to me because this year, the 2 people that said something that really kind of pushed me were people who don't believe in God. Yeah, who actually don't believe in God. So sometimes you can have people who are not believers, but they can really push you. And therefore, also today, pray for those who led you to Christ. In my case, I want to remember these 2 people. One was in France, of all the places. Yeah, one was in Goa. People who, or let me put it this way, they believe in God, but they're not practicing Catholics. And yet, they pushed me to reflect on certain aspects in my own life. I remember, and I'll share this with you, I moved into a new house, as some of you know, and I have natural abilities to make any place beautiful. And somebody said, oh, you should take up interior designing. And this person, who doesn't always go to church, said, no, because that's not your primary calling. Your primary calling is to touch people's lives. And this came from someone who is not sitting on the first pew in church. So pray for those people who have led you to Christ this year. And don't rule out people in your life. We tend to associate only with the goody 2 shoes. God can speak through you through the goody 4 shoes or the goody 6 shoes, whatever it may be. So have a blessed New Year. Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you for your constant support. And that is also reflected when you like these videos and share them with others and subscribe to this channel. And I will see you tomorrow. I'm going to travel. Remember, I record 1 day in advance. So I'm recording this on the 30th for the 31st. By the 31st, I'll be in Goa. I made a mistake the other day. I said I'm reaching Goa on Tuesday. I'm reaching it on Monday. And I will find some time. I've got family coming over. My mom, my dad, my sister, brother-in-law, and my niece will all be with me for the next 3 days. So I'm going to have to find some time to squeeze time to also do our daily reflections. We are on the 7th day of Christmas, on the eve of the New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. God bless you. And from these 2 monkeys who have now been really quiet, come back again, both of you. There they go. Say Happy New Year together.
Happy New Year.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Oh, you